Booyah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. A couple days ago, we had an alarming story to report here on the channel in regards to an Alberta MLA who was allegedly forced to undergo retraining therapy, similar to that of Dr. Jordan Peterson, in terms of accepting trans individuals. Now, if you watch that video, MP or Alberta MP, I guess Jennifer Johnson, who had been fired and removed from Alberta caucus by the UCP, seemed to appear in a video where she was being essentially bullied. We called it bullying on the video. I'm still going to call it bullying. She was bullied into accepting that a trans man was in fact a woman, calling him a woman, or they were not going to report back to the UCP that it was a favorable conversation. They were going to protest the discussion and say that she is intolerant of those. The details go on. I highly encourage you, if you haven't watched that video, to go and check it out because the video is completely appalling. Now, that being said, I did reach out to Jennifer Johnson and I did get comment back. Unfortunately, I asked her to come on the channel. She was in the process of leaving the country for some business and unable to sit down for an interview, but she did let me know that she would think about coming on the channel to talk about everything she's endured since making the comments about trans youth in our school system. That being said, I also claimed in that video, and have to point out, that I said that while it didn't look good for Danielle Smith and her MLAs, I had reached out to Danielle's party and I had asked for clarification as to what has gone on and if in fact it was Danielle Smith or the United Conservative Party that had pushed Jen Johnson to in fact go through with this kind of training, that it was mandatory training. Again, I found it a little weird given Danielle Smith's relationship with known psychologist Dr. Jordan Peterson that she would push for such things. Therefore, in that video, I made it very clear as well that I was holding my judgment until I heard both sides of the stories. Again, while it was extremely alarming, and I did say in that video that if it proved true, it was going to affect whether or not I supported Danielle Smith in the future moving forward. That being said, I hope that everybody who watched that video watches this one, because I'm happy to report today that news has come out, in fact, via the Twitter sphere and a statement by Jen Johnson that, in fact, none of this had to do with Danielle Smith, and I want to get into that right now. If we look here, a good friend of the channel, Jack Dan, tweeting out yesterday, breaking news, UCP MLA Jennifer Johnson has released a statement this afternoon via Facebook. Danielle Smith did not have anything to do with Jennifer's meeting. I will stand with Jennifer for not taking a knee to the demands of a radical trans activist. See below. So, of course, we have Jennifer Johnson's statement here via Facebook. Statement for MLA for Lacombe-Ponoka on September 18th. This statement addresses the meeting between me, Jennifer Johnson, the independent MLA for Lacombe-Ponoka, and the Lacombe Pride Society, Ponoka Pride Society, Central Alberta Pride Society, and multiple others. These societies requested a meeting with me, and I was happy to meet with them and hear their concerns as my constituents. I looked forward to a respectful and informative meeting with them. Again, we saw that meeting and we saw that right away the meeting was, you must acknowledge us as such, or we're leaving the conversation. You're not prepared to speak with us. It was nothing more than a bait in order to get her to bend the knee. And thankfully, Jennifer Johnson stood her ground and said, can't we agree to disagree? How much do I have to participate in this circus show? Now, those weren't her exact words, but in a nutshell, that's how it went. This meeting was at the request and arranged by a constituent of the Lacombe-Ponoka riding. I was happy to accept their invitation to meet. Danielle Smith, her office, and the UCP caucus and party were in no way involved in or aware of this meeting, and contrary to speculation, this meeting has nothing to do with my future as an independent member of the legislature. I support the work of Danielle Smith and her UCP government and look forward to working with all members of the legislature in the fall session of the parental rights legislation and other important bills. Thank you to everyone who has reached out to me in the last couple of days. I very much appreciate all your kind words and encouragement. And again, I spoke with Jennifer Johnson and was happy to hear that this was the case. Again, I said to you guys, as soon as we heard back from somebody, I'd be reporting on that. Now, that does breathe a sigh of relief for me. Again, I was a little frustrated given that Danielle had just appeared on the channel and I was unaware that any of this has happened. And again, it seemed very suspect given Again, Danielle's stance when it comes to kids undergoing trans radical therapy or gender altering surgeries or taking medications under the age of 18. It just to me seemed like a 180 turn from the Danielle Smith who stood up to Justin Trudeau less than a year ago to essentially protect our children's rights moving forward. Now, that being said, if you recall the individual, the man who was in the video with Jennifer Johnson, who was demanding she recognize him as a woman. Well, I have a little bit to report on that as well. And I think that's the good silver lining here is that the person who was in that video, well, they're a complete fraud. They are married to a woman. This man is married to a woman, has a family. I want to bring up this article from the Calgary Journal. MRU professor helps provide support and education for the queer community. This person is a professor at Mount Royal University, which again tells you where your money's going if you're sending your kids to college these days. Now, it says she in the article. I'm going to address it as he. I'm sorry. That's where I stand on it. I'm going to call this person. I'll say Victoria, but we know what he is. When he was younger, Victoria Buchholz struggled to find where he belonged. Now, as a professor at Mount Royal University, he's used his professional experience and education credentials to create a new resource to fill a gap in the community. Growing up on the edge of Sherwood Park, just outside Edmonton, Buchholz felt unconnected from those around him, despite the support and guidance he had from his father. It's kind of hard when you're a young person and you're trying to fit in, but you don't know how to do that. Feeling lost, he could not only find many things to relate to because of societal standards and gender norms. Again, if we're talking about like the 80s, 90s, I grew up in that time period, and I can tell you right now, nobody was confused about gender back then. In fact, the word trans never came up at all. There is an obvious strong heteronormativity and cisnormativity in society, said Buchholz, of course, using typical leftist trigger words, which creates a lot of adversity for trans queer youth, and there aren't role models, there aren't positive representations of you. Buchholz did not have a clear depiction of who he was within society, at least not in a positive way. There's a saying that if you can't see it, you can't. If you can see it, you can be it. And when I was growing up in the 80s and early 90s, the only representation you saw of trans individuals was either being unalived or in prawn or as a joke, they said. Again, the reason you didn't see it anywhere is because nobody would entertain this crazy notion that a man could identify as a woman or vice versa. Again, I asked the question, please tell me, what is a woman? From attending his first political rally at the age of 8, again, I'd question his parents at that point, who's taking their kids to political rallies at the age of 8. Buchholz learned that he had a passion for history. Despite being drawn on history after high school, Buchholz majored in biology, but he soon learned he had made a mistake. I took one history course and it was just instantly so passionate about it. Said Buchholz. So I switched into history and loved it. Buchholz continued his undergrad and master's at the University of Alberta and then completed his PhD at the U of C in 2015. Along the way, I was really blessed that I was given opportunities to teach during my PhD. I really fell in love with the teaching aspect of it. After some time away from academia, Buchholz received a job offer from Mount Royal University, where he's now been in the past 5 years, teaching history and researching conflict, violence, and political manipulation of emotions. Fancy that. However, he's not only a professor, but also a drag queen at the Cabaret Calgary. So, first off, this article has just misgendered this person. Because if you're saying this is a she, but also a drag queen, well, typically men are drag queens. So, which is it here? Which are you calling out? He's a drag queen. It was through a women's wrestling show Buchholz attended to support an acquaintance 4 years ago that he met his wife, Kayla Bygris. So he's married to a woman and just cross-dresses. So why can't he say he's a straight man who just enjoys cross-dressing? Dressing in drag. I don't understand. This is where I sit and say I don't understand this twisted ideology of supporting people's gender dysphoria. This isn't somebody who dresses as a woman and goes out and seeks the company of a man or anybody else. He's married to a woman. I was in this giant unicorn costume and being very silly, said Bygrass, recalling the night he met Buchholz. Or she met Buchholz, sorry. We got together for a date and just hooked. Bygrass expressed the support and admiration she has for her husband, and now her teaching makes an impact on student lives. He's such a good professor and really cares about students, she said. He really cares that people approach this world with openness, but also a critical eye. Fostering a deeper understanding, teaching helped Buchholz define his own place in society. However, when the coup hit, he decided to take the skills and knowledge to establish new community-based resource. That decision led to Buchholz team up with James Demers and Fabrig, the co-founder Queer Education Foundation in the summer of 2020. The goal is to create a safe space for people to come together, ask difficult questions, learn how to become better neighbors. If you saw the way that this person was behaving with Jen Johnson in that video, this is not becoming better neighbors. This is not how you become better people. This was a bully demanding that a woman, an actual woman, a biological female, define him as a woman, degrading her when he is simply just somebody who dresses in drag, who is in fact a professor at a university married to a woman. You can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure I'll hear from somebody on that end from Mount Royal University for misgendering this person. Quite frankly, again, live your best life, do what you want, but to what degree do I have to participate? I refuse. I'm sorry. If you've got the bits down there and you're simply just putting on a wig and a dress, you're a man as far as I'm concerned. Especially, again, the marriage thing raises a few red flags for me to really make me question, what are we doing here? Are we playing pretend? Is this fantasy? Is it something that we're to take serious? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, I'm certainly a lot happier to hear that Danielle Smith has nothing to do with the three-ring circus that we saw going on, that Jen Johnson was not ordered by the UCP. She was not placed into this against her will. She was merely entertaining the request to sit and speak with other individuals on this subject, and for whatever reasons felt it was within her best interest to sit down with her constituents. That is to be left up to her. Again, hopefully at some point when Jen is available, we can have her on the channel. We can talk about this in depth a little bit more, but I wanted to make sure to get this information to you guys as soon as possible before it damaged Danielle's reputation any further. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, my humblest apologies to Premier Danielle Smith. And again, I wished her office would have got back to me sooner than having to find out on a Twitter post what was going on. But nonetheless, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If it's your first time here, I hope this video earns your subscription. Make sure as you're clicking that bar, you also hit the button and turn on your bell for notifications to join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show where not only myself, but the beautiful Mrs. Fringe, my wife, sits down with me. Yes, my wife, not somebody in a wig, but my wife sits down with us on stream to talk about everything that goes on outside of making these videos. And we look forward to speaking with each and every one of you there, where we discuss the week in politics and a little bit of back and forth within the community. I certainly hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.